Yeah. 3-6, mafia.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hey, yeah. Whoa.
Say what? Whoa. 3-6 mafia. It's going down. Y'all know what time it is. We ain't playing with you. In the club, in the street.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No BS Season 3, Episode 25. We are concluding Season 3 tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with a fantastic way to close it right before the Christmas holidays. And then this program won't be back until after the new year. Give us a little quick breather, 2 weeks of a breather, and then we'll be back to you with more sports, bad takes from Isaiah, and just enjoying ourselves in 2022. Well, let's go around the table, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start with Isaiah. Isaiah, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing great. I don't think did we do a program last week? I don't remember. We did a no BS show last week, but
You did. My computer died, remember?
oh, right. It was only me and John for that show. But yeah, I mean, it's great to be back on the show. The year is winding down. The holidays are almost here. Christmas is like a couple of weeks from officially being here. So I can't wait, man. It's kind of like sad in a way, though, because it is the final program for No BS of 2021. It's the season finale of season 3. So, man, let's end this with a bang, man. I got all situated here. I got my coffee and I got my apple pie, and I'm ready to get this show on the road.
All right, and I'll go to John. John, thank you for coming on tonight. It's been fantastic having you on No BS. But John, how are you doing tonight?
Couple of things. I'm curious, since Isaiah doesn't have headphones on, I wonder what the people around him in the McDonald's think he's doing. Do they think he's talking to himself, or do they think he's just some crazy customer? But leave that there. We're good, man. I mean, despite your crazy takes, what better way to end a birthday than to listen to Isaiah's binocular takes here on OBS?
I know, it's kind of ridiculous. This has been in its 3rd season. It had many different iterations of it, but hey, we're going to start season 4 nice and strong in 2022. Can't wait to see our memorable moments. Maybe we need to do an award show in 2022. Some of our favorite takes over the last, 2 years, I guess this program really has been going underway with MI6. I think it's enough for an award show. Maybe we could wait to 5 years and really have a fantastic award show where we get all dressed up and looking snazzy. We'll get the nice Golden Globe Award, but Isaiah will probably say that, looks like C3PO.
C3PO.
But we'll have to wait and see how we want to do the award show for MI6 stuff, ladies and gentlemen. But let's get down to tonight's topics. All right, we go in the world of NBA. Stephen Curry has broken the most 3-pointers last night against Ray Allen's record with 2,974, ladies and gentlemen, from the 3 behind the arc. We all knew it was going to get there eventually. It's no surprise because Steph Curry shoots a lot of threes. I don't know if there's really much to that topic to add to it, but he broke the record, and it's just more of a reaction. I'll go to Isaiah. What's your thoughts about breaking this milestone?
Truly astonishing, because when you first looked at Steph Curry, when he first got drafted and the early parts of his career, I remember when I first moved to the Bay Area, everybody was worried about him because he was suffering all those ankle injuries, that he wasn't even going to make it for long in the NBA. And I think there was at one point they were talking about an extension for Steph Curry, and there was talk in the Bay Area, believe it or not, if the Warriors should even give Steph Curry an extension. That might sound like extremely ludicrous right now, but I mean, that was how it was as early as 2011. People were contemplating not even bringing Steph Curry back. So imagine if the Warriors moved off from him then because of all the ankle injuries. This would not have happened. But it's truly remarkable. It's truly spectacular. This guy has truly revolutionized the game of basketball. You look at basketball now, used to it was always about feed the ball into the paint and settle for mid-range shots. Well, now everybody's taking threes. You got centers taking threes. You got power forwards taking threes. You got everybody in the league basically taking threes, which was unheard of not like until about like 5-6 years ago. So it's truly remarkable. Congratulations to Steph Curry. It's really special. I know all the hard work he's put in, all the injuries that he's had to overcome, all the adversity that he's had to overcome, and it's just really remarkable. And now that he set the record, I don't honestly think it's going to ever get broken because this guy is what, 32, 33. He's still got like a long way to go in his career, so he's going to hit a lot more threes than he's already hit. So by the time his career is done, man, that record will be like the Joe DiMaggio hitting streak record in baseball. It's just going to be untouchable. There's nobody on this earth that is going to be able to even sniff Steph Curry's record.
And before I go to John, let me read some comments. Casey King says, "Hi guys, good evening. Hope is all well." And then Casey King says, "Congrats to Stephen Curry for his huge milestone that he's reached." And going to John, you got to get your birthday in, man.
Dude, I'm officially old because my license is turned the other way now, so they can't. So hopefully, people think I'm actually 24 instead of 18. So that would be nice.
All right,
you're not 18. What? Newsflash.
Yeah, when you get older, you learn to become an adult and be independent. It's a really weird thing that I don't like still.
But I'll go to your reaction to this milestone for Stephen Curry.
I think this is a perfect example for anybody that really wants to get in the sports world. Stephen Curry's story is a perfect example. You talk about a guy that showed some flashes. I think it's Davidson. I'm not sure the full name of the college. Davidson. And this guy was from a near bust, ankle injury. Like, oh no, Stephen Curry misses it. Here we go again. And that's a perfect story, I think, for anybody that wants to go in the sports industry, especially if you're an athlete. It's not like, oh, you go to DO, Ohio State, you go to Michigan, other schools, you have the easy path ahead of you. This guy looked like from a premier bust. I mean, from what I've seen, because I remember in high school, like, I'm bored. Let's go watch compilations of Steph Curry shooting a three-pointer. Like, I've never seen a guy that was so smooth shooting the three from shooting the ball. But I've never seen an athlete have the ball just flow throughout his hands that quick. Like you do in bowling. That's how it's supposed to go that smooth. I mean, this guy's a phenomenal athlete, and I just continue to wish him the best.
Yeah, let's move on with our next NBA topic. So the Lakers and the 76ers. Isaiah, I feel like you found this from the rumor mill, but let's see how John reacts to it. So the Lakers and 76ers are looking into potential trades for Ben Simmons for Russell Westbrook as a swap. I don't know how you came up with this topic, Isaiah. I need you to explain it to our fans how this even came into existence.
Hold on.
Before we go to Isaiah, I want John's reaction to it.
Okay, first of all, the Lakers should be disbanded from the NBA if they get Ben Simmons. I mean, do you want any more Kardashian distractions in your franchise? You just won a championship not even 2 years ago. You get rid of a guy who was old, who should be in a retirement home in the NBA, and then you bring in a guy who can't shoot. You trade a guy that can't shoot because he's getting older. So, like, in what scenario is this a win-win? It's not like Tampa Bay signing Tom Brady for agency or the Giants drafting Michael Strahan in the NFL. It doesn't make any sense. I tried to tell people if this somehow was true, Russell Westbrook, even short-term or long-term, wasn't going to work in the NBA with the Lakers. He's getting older. He's not what he used to be. LeBron is clearly getting older. It's not a bad thing. But if the Lakers do this, Rob Pelinka, you need the pink slip. Somebody, Frank Vogel, actually, you need to be fired immediately because this would have to be the dumbest trade. There's no way getting Ben Simmons is going to increase your chances. Trading a guy away that can't shoot, to trade for another guy who can't shoot, who you don't know if is going to be truly committed to your team, just doesn't make any sense.
Isaiah, how'd you come up with this topic? Explain to our fans how you found this idea. This doesn't make sense. I understand you can trade superstars for superstars, but why would the Lakers even want Ben Simmons after last year's playoff, not be able to make a free throw? Like, you kind of want somebody who can score and actually play defense, but it's like, free throws can make or break games. We all know that. But, like, why would this trade ever happen?
And the Lakers don't have a lot of money either. Right?
Well, first of all, the reason why I put this on the topic list for tonight was because Jake Fisher, who we had on, I believe, in August or September, one of those 2 months, we had on. You know, he's a guy that's really plugged into the world of the NBA. He actually reported it yesterday in one of his columns that he wrote that the Lakers had actually talked to the 76ers for a Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook potential trade. We don't know how far the talks got, but they have talked about it. So it's not like, you know, I'm just throwing this, you know, out of the blue. Like, it actually happened. Those two teams have communicated. They have talked about it. They have broached the idea about a possible trade. But, you know, do I think it's going to happen? I don't know, because here's why I think it might happen, because I have a feeling that LeBron James wants Russell Westbrook out. You know, Jake Fisher in his column yesterday, I have some notes right now. He reported that, you know, it's not blending as well as the Lakers, or not blending as fast as the Lakers had hoped between this big three. So they're thinking about possibly shipping Westbrook out. There's also talks that the Lakers have had talks with the Cavaliers. Yes, John, your Cavaliers, about Russ Westbrook to Cleveland for a package. Hey, I'm not spewing
No,
this.
I'm telling you,
Where are you finding this? Like, where are you finding these sources?
Bleacher Report.
Wait, so you're telling me, Isaiah, I was right and you were wrong. Russell Westbrook in LA wasn't gonna work. I tried to tell people.
Hey, hold on. What I just said about Westbrook in LA, that's not coming from me. That's coming from Jake Fisher of
I hope
Bleacher
so.
Report, who we had. He's the one that wrote all this stuff. I'm just relaying all this information to you guys. But, you know, they've had talks about Westbrook. I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but, you know, if the Lakers do it, here's why they'll do it. It's because, number one, you guys know the Lakers are pretty much the Los Angeles clutch. That's what they are. They get every player from LeBron James' clutch agency on their team. You have Anthony Davis. You have Taylor Horton Tucker. You have, I'm forgetting guys off the top of my head, but you have so many guys from the clutch agency that is a part of the Lakers. And guess who Ben Simmons is represented by? Clutch Sport. Guess who is best friends with LeBron James besides Anthony Davis? Ben Simmons. So that's why I could see this trade happening, because LeBron probably wants to bring his friend aboard and you know, get Westbrook out of here. But in terms of basketball reasons, if you're the Lakers, you need to think about this. These two players, we all know that they are extremely flawed. Are you going to prioritize offense, or are you going to prioritize defense? Because we know Ben Simmons can't shoot, but he's one hell of a wing defender. Plus, he can get you buckets in the paint. But Westbrook, he's a much better shooter. He's a much better mid-range shooter, a better three-point shooter than Ben Simmons, obviously. But he's a trash defender. So if you're the Lakers, when you look at this team right now, what do you want to prioritize? You want to prioritize the offensive side of the ball, which you have Westbrook, then you keep Westbrook. But if you want to get better on defense, because right now the Lakers defend, the perimeter defense is downright atrocious, then you go get Ben Simmons. You trade away Westbrook. You probably would have to trade away Taylor Horton Tucker, because I'm looking at the salaries right now. Simmons makes $33 million. Westbrook makes 41, so that you still have to have $8 million to match it. So you're probably gonna have to trade THT, which I'm fine, because you know, a lot of these Laker fans always gush about, oh, THT is the future. THT is our future after LeBron. Let me tell you something right now. THT is one of the most overrated and overhyped players in the NBA. This guy is not a potential superstar. Every Laker fan, every media member that covers the Lakers always, oh, THT is so good. THT is amazing. THT is this and that. I've seen THT play. I've watched every Laker game this season, and THT is just not really that impressive. He's a good role player, I'll give him that, but he's not like a future star. So he's damn right tradable, and I think if you're the Lakers, you should do it. You know, he's young. You could trade him, because right now you have like a boatload of wings, plus you have Ben Simmons coming in. So if you lose THT, it's not like it's going to hurt, because you have Malik Monk. You have Kendrick Nunn coming back. You have Austin Reeves, who has emerged for the Lakers. So it's not like if you trade THT, oh my gosh, we're going to have to get someone off the street to play shooting guard for us. No, you do have a surplus shooting guard. So for the Lakers, it depends. Do you want to prioritize defense, or do you want to prioritize offense? Whatever you do, that is what's going to dictate your choice for the Los Angeles Lakers. But do I see Westbrook getting traded? if it doesn't work out, right? If the Lakers, Trevor and John, if the Lakers are still like 500, if they're still hovering above 500, because the trade deadline's what, in February? Is that right? The trade deadline's in February.
It's around that time. I think it's
That was
before
late
March
January.
Madness. Yeah.
I thought it was like around late January.
If the Lakers are hovering at 500, let's say end of January, early February, then I think that you should pull the trigger on the deal. Because, I mean, you're already having talks now. That just shows me that the Lakers are not all in on the Russell Westbrook experiment.
Well, I got a nice comment from Casey King. He says the Lakers need to rebuild and get younger. He would even trade LeBron James. Yes, you heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. Casey King would trade away LeBron James. They got too many aging, head cases, and LeBron should not be calling the shots. And he is not a good leader, great leader, but he brings no leadership, and it showed in last year's playoffs. It kind of is there. He kind of calls a lot of shots, and after he leaves the team just dismantles. Look at the Miami Heat. Though they were able to rebuild and get back to the NBA Finals, but that took 8 seasons for a team like that to do, and they literally lost literally all their stars of that Miami Heat team, and they were in the backseat of a dumpster fire for quite some time, and they were able to rebuild and actually develop good role players to be a nice, threat in the East. But now the Lakers, like Casey King said, bringing all these old superstars on a team, it's great in 2K because you don't have to worry about age and injury, but that doesn't work in reality, gentlemen. Let's be clear. I think the Lakers need to get that younger talent and try to rebuild another Laker dynasty, but I don't know how they're going to do that with all this salary cap and all these, Hall of Famers on their team that we all grew up watching on different teams as we were growing up. But any, takes on Casey King's comment? I'll go to John. What do you think about this comment?
LeBron is a big crybaby. LeBron is a coward. In terms of, and I said this with Brian back in June. I said, last time I checked, this is not the Los Angeles LeBron. This is the Los Angeles Lakers. It's the crypto something arena. I think officially as of this week. Last time I checked, I don't care if you're LeBron. I don't care if you're MJ. I don't care. Rest in peace to Kobe or whoever you are. You're not the GM. You're not the head coach. If you would give some advice, of course, there's nothing wrong with advice. LeBron, you don't run the team. Rob Pelinka, everybody, Frank Vogel is the head coach. You're a player. Continue to do what you're doing. And he's getting older. I have no problem with what Casey King says. He would get offended because, LeBron did this and LeBron did that. But we're not talking about the past. We're talking about right now. LeBron is getting older. It happened with Peyton Manning. Who knows if it'll happen with Frank Gore. It happened with it happened with Kobe towards 2013, 2014. He was out for the rest of the season. It happens to everybody, but people get offended about that. The Lakers have to get younger, and LeBron's done this with every team. He's a diva in terms of how he acts. Dude, you did this with LA, you did this with Miami, you did this with Cleveland twice. So, but if I'm any franchise, you want to trade for LeBron? Because what if he pulls a Kim Kardashian or something, just says, I don't want to be here, and then the whole team disbands because you planned around LeBron, like you said, and in 2-3 years, boom, it takes them a while to rebuild. Think about it. They traded for Butler after Butler was on the Bulls. He was on the 76ers. He was on, I think, another team before that. So, I don't blame Casey King for saying that. He's definitely without a doubt. LeBron doesn't call shots, and you need to understand LeBron. I don't care if you have 150 million followers. People need to get that. You're not the head coach. Zip it. There's nothing wrong with getting advice. Hey, I think we should try that. Cool. That's what people do. But you don't run the team. So, LeBron, stick to playing better. I don't really understand that. But when you criticize LeBron, people are like, how dare you? He's nothing like everybody else. I don't understand he's not due to criticism or.
I don't know, John. If you look at the new Space Jam movie, he was building his team the LeBron way, Coach LeBron, getting rid of the Toon Squad. He was going to get Superman, Iron Giant, and all that stuff. He wasn't going to use the Looney Tunes players. I'm just saying, Coach LeBron is something else. He's gonna put Superman on your team.
he think maybe I'm wrong about this, but he's seen again. I'm not saying he is. I'm just from what I'm seeing. he seems to act entitled. Like he thinks whatever team he gets traded to, that's his team. You're here to learn from the coach. Now, can you get maybe advice? Hey, I've been a little bit of advice. Probably. There's something wrong with advice. The difference between like Trevor, if I give you advice, hey, we should try it this way. Cool, let's try it. If it didn't work, then hey, it didn't work, we'll move on. Then instead of saying, hey, Trevor, you're going to do it this way, it is my way or the highway. How would you kind of respond to that, despite what I've done in my career? You would be annoyed. And it's the same thing with LeBron. But a lot of times these reporters want to be all buddy-buddy with LeBron instead of telling the truth. I'm not saying LeBron's a bad guy. Like, people often think because we're critical of athletes that, no, I don't know. But apparently you can't criticize LeBron. And that's what me and Brian were kind of getting to. Like, I don't get it. Like, apparently LeBron can do whatever he does. This isn't a daycare. This isn't child care. LeBron, you're not a head coach. And people need to understand that. You want to be buddy-buddy with him, fine. But I'm not going to be buddy-buddy with LeBron if I ever met him. Because the truth has to be said.
Isaiah, what are your takes on LeBron James? Should he be traded away? Should they get that young talent? What are your thoughts of Casey King's comment?
Well, first of all, you're talking to the guy who first said a couple of years ago that I would trade LeBron James straight up for Devin Booker if the Phoenix Suns ever offered that deal. I mean, I said that because it wasn't because Booker was better than LeBron. No, what I was saying was with Booker and Davis, you would have two pillars that you could build for, and your window would be open for the next 10 to 15 years. And we've seen how Booker has ascended the last couple of years with the Phoenix Suns and how great he's gone. And imagine with Booker Booker's already doing great things with DeAndre Ayton. Imagine what he can do with a big like Anthony Davis. I mean, damn, that would be scary.
When he's on the court.
Well, but I think Casey King makes a really good point. You look at this topic that we're talking about regarding should the Lakers trade Westbrook for Ben Simmons. When I think about it, I would do it. I would do it because I think right now Ben Simmons is 25, 26. Westbrook is 33, about to be 34. So he's definitely about to approaching the end of his prime. While with Simmons, you get a guy that is an elite ball handler. You get a guy who is a great wing defender, something Westbrook isn't. Westbrook is more explosive to the basket, but Ben can go to the basket. Plus, he's got great length. Let's face it, guys. Ben Simmons will never be a competent shooter. He's never going to be a competent shooter. He's just going to be a guy that just is able to run the offense and handle the basketball. And I think that, later on in LeBron James' career, because I think LeBron is signed on for a year or two after this season, and he's going to be 38 after this season. So I think to save LeBron James, to have him healthy and fresh for the playoffs, I think what the Lakers need to do is if you can get Ben Simmons, you let Ben handle the offense like Westbrook is doing right now for the Lakers. I know Ben's not going to turn the ball over as much and be careless with the basketball as much as Westbrook is right now. You let Ben handle the basketball, and then you put LeBron James in the post doing what he does best. And if you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James in the paint, I think that would be unstoppable. And then you have Ben Simmons, a 6'10" freak of nature that can just, go rough sod to the basket, even though he can't shoot. So, I guess you can do it that way, but I'll say this, your defense will be much improved with Ben Simmons than a Russell Westbrook on your basketball team. Plus, you would be younger, and you could have, Ben and Anthony Davis carry the load in the regular season for the next 1 or 2 years of LeBron James's, career, instead of having LeBron have to be the alpha for the Lakers.
Well, with that, John, you want to add one more thing?
So then, if they're going to trade for Ben Simmons and Isaiah, then who are they trading away? Because there's no way you're keeping LeBron. But at the same time, who would trade LeBron? What would that? Get be very quick about this because we got a whole show. But you get Ben Simmons to keep LeBron on the bench, then who are you trading away?
Well, you trade the
70s. So you're saying that a guy that can't shoot, who's a distraction, is going to keep this offense going, who can't shoot the three.
Well, Westbrook can't shoot either. So you're basically swapping out two players that are the same thing. But the reason why I'm saying you go get Ben is because I think you need to value defense more than offense because Ben can get to the basket like Westbrook. He might not be more explosive than Westbrook, but he also gives you other things like he doesn't turn the ball over as much as Westbrook does. Plus, he's a really good defender on the perimeter, and I think that's way better than Westbrook. Plus, he's younger. I think he's like 25, 26, so you would definitely get him at least in his prime for like the next like 5 to 10 years.
Well, with that, gentlemen, we can, move on to our next section of tonight's program. I know we could be on topic for the NBA for countless of hours, but we just got to keep moving on so we can get through all of our tonight's stuff on tonight's program because we still got college football, the NFL, pick'ems, and a Power 5. So, we got to keep tonight moving on. So in the world of college football, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen, have rolled to the glorious thing called the transfer portal. Yes, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The transfer portal has reawakened, and quarterbacks have now entered to the transfer portal, like quarterbacks Kedon Slovis, Bo Nix, and others. Jack Miller from Ohio State. The list goes on and on. Now, with this transfer portal coming out, who goes where? What quarterback goes where? And with all the, head coaches being moved around as well, do we see something interesting happen? Like Bo Nix goes to LSU with, Brian Kelly. Is it Brian Kelly or Chip Kelly?
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly. And then you have, USC, since Kedon Slovis left, who's going to go with, Lincoln Riley. Lot of big dynamics going on, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll go to John. What do you think is going to happen in this transfer portal? Who's going to come out with a quarterback that could probably potentially win the Heisman? Because these are some, big name quarterbacks leaving these, big time schools going somewhere else. Can they seal their fate of potentially winning a Heisman? Going to some of these other schools that, are listed, like going to Texas A&M, going to Texas, going, Penn State. List goes on and on, my friend.
If we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, I would feel a little different. But right now, I don't give a flying flop. We got Quentin Ewers from Ohio State, so I don't care who transfers to Jackson State. I don't care who transfers to Michigan or anything else. We have our quarterback at Texas. But it's really interesting to see with Kedon, though, despite what Isaiah said, he was going to be the best quarterback at USC. He's going to be better than Matt Leinart and Carson Palmer, who won the Heisman. Matt Leinart went to 3 straight championships. He won 2 of them. Nearly be the 3rd one against UT. But I guess being transferred makes you the greatest USC quarterback. But I'd be curious to see where he goes because I think this season, more than others in college football, more surprised. Wow. This many guys are transferring. So I'd be curious to see where Slovis goes and the guy from Ohio State. We've heard this time and time before. Guys that don't get a chance to start at Ohio State. We saw it with Joe Burrow. We saw it with multiple quarterbacks over the years. So definitely be curious to see where Kedon Slovis and the guy from Ohio State goes.
Isaiah, what about you? With all this transfer portals, who you got going where, and is it possible for them to land at the respective school and maybe win a Heisman out of it?
Well, first of all, I am hoping and praying that Santa Claus gives me a fantastic present wrapped in green and white ribbons, and that is Kedon Slovis coming to my Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. I mean, we lost the Cordero kid from Hawaii who transferred to San Jose State. So we do have a vacancy at quarterback. So we do need a quarterback. So hopefully that Todd Graham manages to go into the portal and get a quarterback. But I don't know if he will be able to do it because I don't even know if he'll have a job 1 week from today. But when you look at these quarterbacks, Trevor, you mentioned Kedon Slovis from USC. Bo Nix from Auburn, your guy. Trevor, your guy. You said he was going to win the Heisman a couple of years ago. Bo Nix. He's transferring. And then Zach Calzada from Texas A&M. And not to mention, Michael Penix Jr. and Jack Miller from Ohio State, to name a few, and Spencer Rattler as well before he picked South Carolina yesterday. When I look at all these quarterbacks, I think for me, I am shocked the most at Zach Calzada, the quarterback at Texas A&M, for transferring. Slovis, I wasn't shocked because, he had been injured often in his tenure at USC. Lincoln Riley and his new coaching staff comes in. Jackson Dart, who was a 4 or 5-star freshman recruit that USC got last year. When Slovis was hurt, he actually outperformed Slovis. So I kind of knew that the writing was on the wall for Slovis at USC. Bo Nix, I wasn't really shocked at all because when you look at Bo Nix, I feel like he's really inconsistent. And I think that, he had a new coaching staff as well. And for Bo Nix, he would always get like benched whenever he wasn't playing well. And then when the other quarterback, TJ Finley, when he wasn't playing well, he would get benched and Bo Nix would get elevated back to the starter. So it was like off and on. And you just can't sustain success when you're like constantly getting benched and constantly getting unbenched in college football. So I'm not surprised that Bo Nix decided to transfer. But Zach Calzada, why are you transferring, man? When the quarterback at Texas A&M, when their starter went down in week 2 with an injury, you were entrenched as the starter of Texas A&M football, and you heroically led the Texas A&M Aggies to that upset of the year against the Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, this dude he got injured during one of the after throwing a touchdown. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, he tore his ACL." And then he comes back like the next drive, and he comes back and he leads them down the field for a game-winning field goal, and they win. Like, I thought that this dude, after that win against Alabama and beating Nick Saban, that he would just stay there for the rest of his career because, man, like, it's like Johnny Manziel. If you beat Alabama, I don't care what you do for the rest of your career. You automatically get a statue outside of Kyle Field in Aggieland. So what are you doing transferring? Plus, you were entrenched as the starter. So there's something like fishy going on with Zach Calzada's transfer. I don't understand the quarterback that got hurt. That was the original starter. He broke his leg, so there's no way that he'll be able to come back and come back very soon. So I don't get it. Calzada was good for the Aggies when he was playing for them. So I was extremely shocked when I saw the news that he was transferring. I saw it on my phone and I took a couple looks at it. I was like, what? Am I reading that correctly? Like someone slapped me in the face. Like, is that true? Like, you got to be kidding me. This guy's transferring. There's something fishy with it. There's something fishy going on in College Station at Texas A&M because this dude was good last year. This dude led you to a win over Alabama. We're not talking about a scrub school. We're talking about Alabama with Nick Saban, and he decides to transfer. So I don't know. Something's going on at Texas A&M, but I was shocked by that. In terms of like where these quarterbacks should go, I think Kedon Slovis. I heard there's reports of like Golden Bears going there. I heard reports of Trevor. Yes, I'm about to say it, man. Michigan with Jim Harbaugh because his cousin, Kedon Slovis' cousin, goes to Michigan. So that's another possibility. If I'm Kedon Slovis, selfish reasons, I want him to go to Hawaii. But if it's not Hawaii, go to Michigan because we obviously saw this past season the guard has changed in the Big Ten. Go torment Ohio State and show the Buckeyes what you're about.
And I'll go read Casey King's comment. Slovis is not a Heisman Trophy winner. And again, don't even compare him to the USC great QBs like Matt Leinart, Carson Palmer, and company. But still, I think when you look at these quarterbacks, and if you're going to try to put them in the race for the Heisman, you got to put them in a school where there's another big-time school, where they're going to have that, top 25 matchup that kind of solidifies their fate for the Heisman Trophy winner. And at the same time, I would think, looking at it like, going to Michigan, you play Ohio State, who's probably still going to be in the top 5. So if you're able to beat Ohio State and have a stellar Big Ten championship game, there's a good probability of you winning the Heisman at that rate. Look at Alabama, and Bryce Young. He took down, number 1 Georgia. That kind of helps him boost his elevate to win the Heisman. It's just that, ESPN Classic that you look back saying, yeah, that's a guy, I will put my money on to win the Heisman, and just has that moment. I think we've seen that, time and time again. Even look at Joe Burrow's year. He had a gauntlet to go through, He faced number 9 Texas at Texas, had a stellar game, took care of Alabama, and it was just like, kept going on. Even when he got to the college football playoffs, he got the easy way with Oklahoma, just waxing them and with Jalen Hurts and beating them like that. But then he faced, Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, and that LSU team just destroyed Clemson. And it just goes to show, like, yes, you can transfer, but once you transfer, it may take you a little bit to build up. But if you have the team to do it or a wide receiver core to do it and an offensive line that can give you enough time in the pocket to pass, you could easily crank Heisman numbers out. We've seen it happen before. Even look at, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. He had the elite, Ohio State wide receiving core, took him all the way to the Heisman ceremony. It's very, I wouldn't say easy to do when you have the team to do it, but at the same time, you transfer to the right school, you can have your name in that conversation if it's the right school and if the schedule is right for you to do that Heisman moment. That's what I got to really say about where these quarterbacks got to go if their eyes are on the Heisman Trophy. Anything else you guys would like to add to that?
Trevor, I think, besides me saying that Kedon Slovis should go to Michigan, which I think he should, other places I think he should go is how about Florida? They just lost Emory Jones, their quarterback, who just announced like literally 15 minutes ago that he's entering the transfer portal after the bowl game. So that's another high-profile quarterback in the transfer portal. How about Florida? You could maybe go there, rebuild your value with a new coaching staff. I was going to say San Jose State because, Kedon did actually get a scholarship offer to go to San Jose State before USC swooped in and picked him up. But, now, like, they got the quarterback from Hawaii, so I don't think he would be the starter there unless he wants to compete. How about Oregon? That's another one because Oregon, Anthony Brown, I think he's like a senior, and either that or he might be going to the NFL or he might follow Mario Cristobal and transfer to Miami. So Oregon needs a new quarterback. So I think Kedon Slovis, he knows the Ducks. He will have better offensive weapons, a better offensive line in Oregon than he did at USC. Plus, he'll have better coaching than he did at USC with Clay Helton. So I can see the Ducks being, a great fit for Kedon Slovis.
John, do you have anything else you'd like to add, or will you be okay?
Went years. We got top recruits, so finally Steve can in the next couple of years build a team that he wants to see if what he could be doing at Texas could work long term.
All right.
I actually got one more thing that I want to ask you guys. We have all these like high-profile quarterbacks that are entering the transfer portal constantly. Do you guys think like this is like an alarming problem that we've seen going with all these like high-profile guys like Kedon, Bo Nix, Calzada, now Emory Jones? Like, is it like a problem? Do you guys think it's like a problem that we've seen like all these guys just jump ship left and right?
I think this is more of like you can almost go back to player compensation a little bit. So that could also be a factor. I don't think it's at that point where it's like I can transfer to a big time school and, get paid all this money. We haven't reached that point in college football yet. But at the same time, it's like, how do I get my name out there? How do I improve my, draft stock? Like, you leaving Auburn wasn't a good decision for like Bo Nix. You have like, you could say the resume to make yourself look like a good NFL quarterback by beating Alabama, beating Georgia, beating the top teams in the SEC, and you'll get there. Like, you basically have a tough road to win a national title, but if you do it, it's like you're almost like Cam Newton. I wouldn't say compare Bo Nix to Cam Newton, but you have the gauntlet to, get yourself to a national title.
Well, he did beat Bama too, I think, in his like freshman year, if I'm not mistaken. And also Calzada beat Bama as well. But I don't know, like a lot of these quarterbacks, like they seem to be, you think that they're entrenched as the starter at their respective schools, but then they still decide to transfer. Like Michael Penix Jr. from Indiana, I thought he was, entrenched there as a starter. Bo Nix, and then Calzada. So I don't know. It's really weird and it's kind of stunning at the same time, but it also shows you, and I forgot who said this a couple of days ago when I was watching some videos on these quarterbacks transferring that, whether you like it or not, college football free agency is officially upon us.
All right. With that being said, we can move on to the NFL segment. I noticed, we have the MI6 Fantasy Football League as well as other fantasy football leagues out there that our fans play in. But we notice the thing that dreaded us from the beginning of the season and from the previous season, COVID has ramped up again in the NFL. And it has knocked out a few players, especially within the Cleveland Browns. Jarvis Landry has it. Baker Mayfield is out this week with it. It's just kind of, rampant up. How much, concern does this look for the NFL playoffs? Because we're looking at teams in the playoff hunt. Now, when you lose a couple key components and you lose this game, that kind of affects you on how you finish the rest of the season. I'm going to go to John. What does this indicate now that you're losing some of your key players and you're in the hunt for the playoffs and you're in that bubble on the outside looking in? I know the Chiefs and Chargers played, Thursday night, but if some of those key players are out with COVID, that kind of changed the dynamic of this game. Though they, will decide who almost wins that division, but it kind of affects a lot of the other divisions throughout the NFL. So, John, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, you're right. If this was 2018 and in potential we have COVID, but the teams weren't. More teams now versus 3 years ago are a lot better. It used to be, hey, it's just a couple teams you're not going to contend for the Super Bowl or for the playoffs. But this year, I mean, my gosh, if I'm the Chargers, I would be frustrated because, yes, it's a situation you can't control. But at the same time, I don't know if there's really too much to read into it. I know it's very frustrating. I know it's annoying. It could hurt your playoff seeds. But at the end of the day, for me, I care more about their health and them getting better to see what they can do on the field in the future. That's really all there is for me to say. I understand it's frustrating. I'm not in their position, so I would feel a lot of anger. But hey, something came up that we can't control. But at the same time, I'd rather them take their time and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, and Isaiah, what do you think? This is very, it can change a lot of things within the remaining weeks of the NFL, and the hunt for the playoffs is still real within the final, 3 weeks. I would say 3 weeks of the season, but up to week 18 because we're starting week 14 right now. So it's a sprint to the finish. And if you look at the AFC, a lot of teams are maybe 1 or 2 games back before clinching their division. So this week is one of the most critical weeks. I know last week was for the Raiders and Browns, but the Browns were able to win to continue their chances, but the Raiders fell short and kind of fizzled out of the playoffs. But losing this week for some other teams, it's make or break for your playoffs. So Isaiah, your thoughts about the rampant of COVID and the NFL teams are trying to make the playoffs this year, because the AFC, like I said, is extremely close.
Well, my thoughts on this is that it is extremely annoying, like John had mentioned. It's extremely frustrating because, I thought that, I thought that, I'm not gonna say we're done with COVID, but I thought that, the pandemic, we had it under control because, we had full stadiums this entire year, from week one, actually from the first week of preseason all the way until what is it now, week 14 or week 15. So we're doing such a great job, and we didn't have to. Last year was a whole mess, no fans, games getting postponed and canceled left and right. It was just oh my god, it was just a crapshoot. And I thought that we are done with that this year, and now you see that in the last 2 days, 75 players in the entire NFL tested positive or was put in the health and safety protocol in the last 2 days combined, which is the most the league has ever seen, in a span of 2 days since the pandemic started. So it is definitely alarming. It's definitely worrisome. And it's really concerning because now when you look at it, some of these teams like some of these games that we thought were going to be so big, like you mentioned, Trevor, with about clinching playoff spots and playoff races and all that stuff, they can get critically affected because look at the Browns. I mean, they're not going to have at least like 12 players for their game against the Raiders. I don't even know why the NFL has decided to keep that game on for Sunday instead of pushing it back. The NFL, I think what they need to do is they need to go back to the strict protocols that were put in place last season, which was only players and coaches allowed in the building. A lot of the execs and everybody else have to work from home. And, you know, if you have players that, or you have like 15, 20 players missing from the games, well, then I think you got to push back the games to like Monday or Tuesday or even Wednesday. I think that's like the only way you could do it because, you know, it's not just like for the fans that are going to miss out on seeing their favorite players play in the games, but it's also like, you know, you could spread it. You know, you could spread it to other players on other teams, whether they're like battling in the trenches or they are doing, you know, handshakes after the game. You know, you can still spread it. So I think that, you know, we definitely got to go back to the strict protocols that were put in place last year because, I mean, even though it was really strict and it was really frustrating, it worked last year for the most part. So I think we got to definitely go back to that. I think that would be the only way to curb this massive spread right now. Because if you don't do something quick, if you don't do something right now, then you know this could affect the playoffs. This could affect the Super Bowl. You know, we could potentially see a Super Bowl where you have backups battling each other, and nobody wants to see that crap. So, like no disrespect to those players, but nobody wants to see that crap. So, we got to curb it right now. You know, bring back the mask, bring back the pregame COVID test, bring back the strict protocols from 2020. I know everybody wants to be done with this pandemic, but you know we got to put this in place now, or else you know the NFL. Who knows if you know? Let's say mid-December with the pandemic, getting a bit worse now with the new variant. Who knows if you know we will even have you know the NFL season like in 2 weeks. You know, I don't know if we will. You know, we might have to stop it because 75 players, 2 days. That's very very serious and extremely concerning.
I have a comment from Casey King. He has a good point. Isaiah, would you ban fans from attending?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't ban fans from attending, but I think you have to consider maybe going to 50% because right now when you look at it, I think it was working fine before the variant, but now this new variant came in, and today I think they found out that there was the first case of the new variant was discovered in the NFL. So, and I think you gotta nip this in the bud. You absolutely have to. So for me, with the holidays coming up, with everybody being able to travel and all of that stuff, I think that you definitely have to seriously consider going to like 50% or going to like a limited capacity crowd. I know it's going to suck, but you got to do what you got to do. You have to do it now, or else if you keep this going on, you know, this might just worsen, and you don't want this to worsen.
And with that, I guess I can throw one more thing in before we go into our pick'ems. I understand it's kind of late and the NFL can easily change things overnight if they had to. But wouldn't it be interesting if they said, let's have a bye week this week and push everything back a week? They really could do that if they wanted to and shift the Super Bowl, like, you know, down another week. And if they want to do that to allow players to, you know, recover and have more players like underneath, you know, not the 75 that are out, but like reduce that number a little bit more. Would you guys be interested if the NFL did a bye week this week? Just all teams, there's no NFL this week.
I mean, why not though? Because at the end, even if we do this maybe once or twice, then hey, couple of days later, you know, to do the combine in February, we'll just push it back a couple of days, make sure everybody's safe, good to go, no problem. I don't necessarily think that'd be an issue for that, and that would actually be really interesting because now guys are fully recovered from COVID, they're fully healthy. The playoffs and these last few games, I think, would be a lot more interesting having that extra week off.
Yeah. Isaiah, your thoughts if they had a bye week this week? So NFL came up with a statement saying, guys, we're not playing this week because of the rampant number of COVID cases, and we'll resume the week after, the week of Christmas.
Well, I think the bye week would help, but I don't think it would stop it completely because I think, let's face it, people are going to still travel to see their families for Christmas. They're going to travel to other places to spend the holidays. So, like it would stop it for a bit, but I don't think like it would be good for players to recover. But I don't think it would really curb it completely. I still think a bye week would be nice, but I still think you still have to re-implement some of those strict protocols that were in place in 2020.
Yeah, and if they even have the bye week, now you have injured players getting a little bit more extra rest that they don't have to prepare for, and you can now have a player who was injured like 2 weeks ago. Now they're actually back full healthy, and this week coming back to restart this week. So I think it'd be something interesting. I know that's not going to happen. I don't think the NFL is going to go in that direction,
Well, but wouldn't you have to push back the Super Bowl then if you did a bye week?
Yeah, you would push everything back a week.
That's why I talked about how the combine about a couple days or if not a week later. Prom gives you a couple extra. Maybe it may, if needed, be push the draft back a day, if even that, and then make sure everybody's healthy and safe, and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think it would be all right if they, had a bye week. I don't think like they're competing against like TV time, like moving it 1 week later in February. I don't think people are going to be too upset about that. And there's really nothing in the month of February going on besides the Olympics, but that's really it.
And with baseball locked out, it would definitely help because you would have the playoffs first week of February, and then you would have the Super Bowl in like the second week of February. So I think I like the idea, but I just don't know it would really fully curb it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. But gentlemen, that's a great NFL topic. I know we're making great timing, making great strides to the best of our ability. But now, gentlemen, we are going to our pigskin pick'ems. All right, we got a lightning round for y'all today to keep y'all within respectable hour 15-minute window of tonight's program. I'll read through the list and we'll select those games. So in the college football world, we got the Bahamas Bowl between Middle Tennessee and Toledo, and we got the Cure Bowl, if I'm saying that right.
The what?
It's
the Cure Bowl.
The Cure Bowl.
This Friday.
Against Northern Illinois and Coastal Carolina.
Seems like a discontinued item at Jack in the Box.
I don't know. I was getting confused with it. I'm like, am I saying this right? They literally, I feel like for bowl games, I feel like they stare at something like saying, that could be a bowl. It'd be like the color of my shirt, and then the last thing I ate, and that's the bowl game.
The Green Bowl or something. I mean, you and I could think of much better names. I just thought of a couple right now. We'll see that later.
It'd be like, something like you go for grocery shopping or like a name brand, and then be like, the Goodyear something. I know they have the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, but it'd be like bizarre things, the grapefruit of something. Think of a famous, brand that's out there, I know Apple would never do one, so that gets that one out.
How expensive?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they would be, instead of giving out like a trophy, because some bowls are like the Cheez-It Bowl. You know what they give out? They give out like a cup, a big cup filled with Cheez-It. That's what they give out.
Dude, I'll take a year's supply of Cheez-Its. I'll work.
I wouldn't mind that either. Yeah, I mean Cheez-Its are good.
I like the Idaho famous potato bowl where they put French fries in like a cooler and they dump it on the coach.
Yeah,
I think I'll take that.
Because think about how expensive it would be for Apple to do one. Because they did. It's funny because their products are so expensive, but they just came out with the cleaning cloth, $20. So imagine how expensive a bowl would be, the Apple Bowl. But anybody want to watch that? No.
It depends who's in it. That's the question, John. It
give out
depends who's in
laptops.
it.
That's what you should do. Give out free laptops. The
Let
winner gets
me
free
go for the NFL games, and we'll just run through them real quick. So we got NFL. For the NFL, we got the Washington football team against the Eagles, and then we got Bengals Broncos. All right, going back to college football and the random bowl games that we have. I shouldn't say random, but the interesting name bowl games. We're going with the Bahama Bowl. Middle Tennessee or Toledo? Who you got? You don't have to give an explanation if you don't want to. Isaiah.
To be honest with you, I honestly don't know anything about these two teams.
So why did you put it on the list?
Because
Thank you,
they're
John.
the first two games. They're the first two bowl games of the college football season. So, I mean, I was like, why not? They start tomorrow anyway, or Friday. But here's your simple explanation. I'm
boy,
going
he's
with Toledo.
explaining.
Why?
Okay.
Because they are the Rockets, and I love Rockets, and I love NASA. Simple as that.
Okay, he's going Toledo, ladies and
Actually,
gentlemen.
I'm asking this. What does NASA stand for?
The National Space Agency or something like that.
Okay, well, we'll leave that for tomorrow night's show and Christy Wilson and Calvin. Like, come on. Thank you.
Yep. And then we'll explain it to you what NASA truly means. John, who you got in this one? I know you're probably in the same boat as Isaiah. Like, why did he pick this one? Who you got?
What were the two teams again? Because I have to be honest.
Middle Tennessee and Toledo.
I know nothing about either team, so I'll just say Toledo because it just sounds interesting to say. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I don't follow these two teams. I just follow UT and a couple other teams and potentially more next year.
What is Middle Tennessee's team name? That's what I wonder.
I don't know, Isaiah. You're the one who picked this on here. I feel like you would have the better knowledge on this one than
So you just went up bowl games and you just put these at Isaiah.
Yes, I just went and got the first two in there.
Like, you could even done Saturday's games possibly, but no.
They're
the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. That's what they are. They're the Blue Raiders.
I'll get with my pick so we can keep moving on. I'm going to go with Toledo because they took Notre Dame down to the wire, and I think they're probably the better football team in this. Bottom line, end of story. All right, now we're going to go to the Cure Bowl, as I keep feeling like I'm pronouncing that one so wrong.
You good.
I'm thinking pool and the Q Bowl. That's what it feels like every time I'm saying it. But for this one, I'm going to go with Coastal Carolina over Northern Illinois. Coastal Carolina is just that team that's, has two phenomenal seasons so far. So I think, they're going to continue, finish out the year strong. John, anything for you?
I would just say North just because the other place I like to call North is the North Pole, and that's my favorite place. So North.
All right. And Isaiah, who you got?
No, we got the Huskies versus the Green Wave. So I'm looking at it right now. I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Coastal Carolina because they play on a green field or not a tealish, bluish green field. So, I mean, I love teams that play, on artificial fields that have different colors on them. Like Boise plays on the blue turf. So I'll go with Coastal Carolina because of that.
All righty. For NFL, Washington football team against the Eagles, the NFC least. I don't know how this really is going to unfold. I'm going to go with the Eagles because they're home and it's in Philadelphia. So you have Santa Claus down there. So I think Santa Claus's magic is going to help the Eagles win this one. John, who you got?
Well, I need to send my naughty or nice stuff lists for Christmas. I feel embarrassed to say this, but before the season I picked the Washington football team to win in division. After you said the Giants, so don't even. You said the New York Giants would win the division, so don't even laugh. Thirdly, unfortunately, I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles. Washington just hasn't really shown their full potential here. We call it half magic. Heineke is like half magic. You go halfway, but don't finish it. And that's really been their story for part of the season. You list Montez Sweat, Chase Young for a couple of games. So, unfortunately, I'm going for the Eagles in this football game.
And Isaiah, who do you have? Washington football team or the Eagles?
Well, I am going to this is very tough. This is the true Christmas matchup of the NFL because you have one team wears red, the other team wears green. So, I'm looking at it right now. You know what? I got to agree with you guys. I got to go with the Philadelphia Eagles because the Washington football team, their defense, I don't know why their defense has been anemic this season. It doesn't make sense. I know Chase Young is out, but even when he was in there, they were still anemic. So I don't know. Maybe Jack Del Rio will be fired at the end of the year. Who knows? But I don't really believe in Heineke. I would probably take Jalen Hurts over Taylor Heineke. And I got to give credit to Nick Sirianni. Who expected the Eagles to be in contention for a playoff spot this late into the season? So give me Philadelphia. I think they'll be able to run the football well against that Washington defensive line, which has struggled against the run.
I mean, it is the NFC East, so it's not like it's the NFC West. So I mean, I
Well-
don't really give them a whole lot of credit so far because think about it. Besides the Cowboys, I mean, it's not a competitive division, but hey.
Well, but the NFC, like the portion which is fighting for that seventh spot, like it's extremely weak because you got like a bunch of 6 and 7 teams that are battling it out for that last playoff spot. So I honestly thought the Eagles would be lucky to even get 5 wins. So for them to get 6 wins, it's like wow. I mean, I can't believe they're still here in the playoff mix.
All right, gentlemen, we'll go on to our last, pigskin pick'ems for tonight. A game I think that's probably the best out of the list that we have. The Bengals and Broncos trying to keep their hopes alive in the playoffs. So this is, like I said, a critical win for both of these teams. I would, if I was John, John's probably going to pick the Broncos so they have a chance to get into the playoffs. I'm going to probably select the Bengals to knock off the Broncos to get the Chargers into the playoffs. That's what I'm going to root for. I'm going to go with Cincinnati on this one to help the Chargers get into the playoffs.
Hey,
John, I'll go to you.
hey.
I know your answer already, so I should just.
It's the John Alcorn Bowl. His Broncos versus
I
his Bengals.
Yeah, I just saw my Broncos a couple months ago and actually became a Bengals fan. So you're welcome. I'm picking the Bengals to win this football game. After this on my Broncos back in September, I was a fan of them for one game this past week, of course, what they did for Demaryius Thomas, but I disowned my Broncos and are a Bengals fan. So I'm rooting for the Bengals in this football game. I don't really trust. Again, defense-wise, Denver offense, Burrow and Jamar Chase are interesting. Like Isaiah's been saying, like literally Bridgewater cannot throw the deep ball, but Joe Burrow to Chase all day. That could be a very interesting matchup, especially with the rookie, because we haven't heard a lot from Patrick Surtain this year. So I'm really kind of curious to see how he responds to that with Jamar Chase in this game.
Isaiah, what do you have? Who you got?
I am going to go with. I'm trying to imitate a
What
horse.
was that?
Did you just fart?
What was that? What
trying-
kind of sound effect was that?
I was trying to
I know
imitate
Callan's
a
gonna
horse.
clip that out. I can't wait for this post clip, Cal. Callum, please clip out that sound.
I would
effect.
do
I
it.
want to use that now.
What is this garbage? Like that? Or you had a teapot that spoiled, or you had a really bad fart? Like,
No, I was trying to imitate a horse.
Oh, a horse? What kind of horse?
a
are
horse
you-
is this.
What kind of horse was that?
That's not a
But-
horse. Apparently, you haven't been watching enough PBS. So, I'm
But for me, I'm sorry, I'm dying here. But for me, I'm gonna go with the Broncos because they're at home. I mean, the Bengals offensive line is rubbish. I think the Broncos defensive line will be able to eat up Joe Burrow and the Bengals up front all day in this football game. And I think that it's going to be a close game. But I think it's going to be like last week, where the thing about the Bengals is that they're a really young team. They don't know how to finish games, and their offensive line is terrible. As Joe Burrow got sacked like six times last week, and this Bronco defensive line, they're no joke. Even minus Von Miller, they're still no joke. So give me Denver. I think it's going to be like a defensive, or I think it's going to be like 20. Give me like 21-19. It's going to be a really close game.
Do you mind if I add one more
Yeah,
thing
go
on
for
here?
it.
'Cause
Yeah, go ahead.
The AFC North, like, think about it. The Steelers are only 2 games behind for first place. The Bengals and the Browns are tied for 7 and 6. So if they don't move the Browns game, the Browns lose, the Bengals are in second place. And the Bengals win against Denver on Sunday, they're pretty much tied, if not in first place in the AFC North. So that, to me, I know I said the NFC West was going to be tough. Now, guarantee you could say because of injuries or lack of play, but
I think this AFC North in the last couple of weeks is something to watch out for.
Yeah, the AFC North train has been something crazy within the last 2 weeks because with the Browns taking care of the Ravens, it kind of brings everybody a whole lot closer now versus the Ravens just opening it up and just being leagues ahead everybody. Now, like you look at like the top teams in the AFC North, no, not the AFC North, but just the AFC, the highest win team is like 9-4. And everybody else is like, 8-6, like a game back, and then they're like, I shouldn't say 8-6, it'd be 8-5, and then 7-6. Like the games are just that close where you could literally within the next 2 weeks clinch your division and just change your destiny like that.
The crazy thing is when you talk about this division, the Ravens' offensive line is a little bit struggling. The Steelers' offensive line is garbage, and so is the Bengals. So really, almost all the offensive line play in the AFC North is not what we thought it would have been collectively overall altogether. So I think that is really going to be the thing to look out for. I just think this is definitely pretty interesting.
And with that, gentlemen, we'll go on to our Power 5.
Персональный спутник.
With the Power 5 segment, I looked at it, I'm like saying, I have no idea how you describe this Power 5 list. I may not even have a list for tonight. But we should just make fun of Isaiah's horse.
What's the Power 5? What's the Power 5?
5 animals sound effects that you can make and have Isaiah just do his. And I think that would be enough for tonight.
Do a goat. And don't just say
Well, the Power 5 is actually top 5 Christmas movies.
No. That's not what it says on the script, ladies and gentlemen.
What does it say?
Top 5 Christmas dinner movies.
Christmas dinner?
What is a Christmas dinner movie?
I saw that earlier, and I was like, I don't know how to make my Christmas dinner. That doesn't make sense.
Explain that to us. What is a Christmas dinner movie? I have no list for that. I would rather pick up random bowl game names and make that my Power 5 list.
My favorite Chick-fil-A items, but much less. That would be even better Power 5 I just came up with on the spot versus
Isaiah. You somehow destroyed a Power 5 segment that we don't even have a Power 5 segment because of your mishap.
Dude, I know this is my last No BS episode, but it doesn't mean you can pull this BS.
Well, I mean,
this was complete Higgins. I'm sorry, Isaiah.
Yeah, this is. I mean, we're ending it on a weak note, but I mean, it was supposed to be. Well, I was like going back and forth throughout the day about should we do top 5 Christmas dinner foods or top 5 Christmas movies, and I was like, one minute I'd be like movies, then top 5 Christmas dinner foods, then movies, then dinner foods, and on and on and on and on. I just couldn't make up my mind. And then I was just like, you know what? I'll just pick something out of a hat. And I picked something out of a hat. Like, no joke. I legitimately picked something out of a hat. And you put
dinner movies?
It doesn't even make any sense.
Christmas dinner movies. What? Explain.
I meant movies. But I just forgot.
That's not what the script says. And I think that's how the Power 5 should end from season 3.
I got my Power 5.
No, you screwed up the script. You don't get to read your Power 5. You have to save it for the new year.
Trevor, you have to do the Power 5 and make them up from now on.
Isaiah, you're. I guess this is how season 3 of No BS ends with a bad Power 5. The first time we actually have a bad Power 5. Let's move on to final thoughts and just get tonight's program to a close, gentlemen. All right, final thoughts. Isaiah, since you screwed up, the Power 5, you got to say your final thoughts first. I'm just closing you out tonight first.
Well, my final thoughts is it was a great show. A lot of great topics that, we talked about. It sucks that, it's definitely the final No BS episode of 2021, nearly to 2022. But it was a great season 3. A lot of great memories, and prepare for a lot of changes on MI6. Just a heads up to all of our fans, because we got a lot of people with different opportunities now. So when the new year rolls around, it's not gonna be the same. So it was really truly a fun season. Blessed to be doing these shows with you guys every single week, and hopefully all of you guys all have a wonderful holiday and a wonderful Christmas, and we will. Trevor, you want me to announce the Christmas show, or you want to?
You
All
can
right,
do it.
all right, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys tune in this Friday because we are going to be having our MI6 Sports Network Christmas special this upcoming Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Join myself, Trevor, John, and the rest of the crew at MI6, and maybe even some members of the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network will be joining us. We'll talk a lot of sports. We're going to talk a lot of football, basketball, baseball, etc. And we're going to just talk some Christmas fun, have some fun Christmas Power Five, and then we just gotta have a lot of Christmas Power Five. Maybe do some bloopers of the year or whatever, and then we'll just have a lot of Christmas fun. So make sure you guys tune in this Friday, and and we're not gonna have any programming after Christmas special or after August or
August. Wow. Okay. We're
sorry.
MI6 is taking a long hiatus. Let me get my my sunblock and go on a nice vacation cruise.
Where's my paid leave? I need my PTO. I get paid to make chickens here. I need them.
But after Christmas special and after the extra point this upcoming Sunday, we will not have any programming until the New Year's extravaganza on December 31st. That is going to be a blast. It is not only just going to be a multi-hour special. We might be talking about a 6 to 8 hours special because I know Cal's
not
got
again.
some ideas.
Not again. No, sorry. I'm
Hey.
not doing another 3-hour show. No.
Well, Trevor, it won't be a 3-hour show because according to Mr. McClurg, he's thinking about a 10-hour special.
No, I think that's from your imagination. I don't think Callan agreed to a 10-hour show.
We'll go talk to Callan, but
it's not a 10-hour
New Year's extravaganza coming up. In 2-3 weeks? But until then, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the holidays and tune in because Friday night we will have a blast.
John, your final thoughts.
There's a lot to say. It's of course my last No BS one, but I just can't believe some of the things that Isaiah potentially said tonight. That was definitely oh boy, but just glad to be back on. And Isaiah loses again, but no, it'd be a good show. And then probably the Eve one is my last program here on MI6, but we'll keep this thing going. Like Isaiah said, there's made a lot of changes. We'll talk with y'all in the new year that are going to be happening.
Yeah, and for me, it's been an honor being your host for No BS Season 3. It's been fantastic. We ended on episode 25. We probably screwed up count somewhere in this. I wouldn't be surprised knowing us because it's the MI6 without technical difficulties. But at the same time,
Yes! Austin Reeves game winner! Let's go! Let's freaking go!
This is going on YouTube.
Wow. Alrighty. Oh, man.
That is going on social media. You scream like a girl.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you have a sister that you don't know about?
Wow.
Was I on mute, by the way? Did you guys hear?
No, we heard you scream.
We thought you had a sister or something, and you were in a McDonald's screaming. Like
yes, and you're not in your own house, so that must be interesting.
That's why we were like AC says, Isaiah gone full Higgins.
Wait, what did you guys even hear me? Like I thought
Austin Reeves game winner for the Lakers. Oh my god.
Yes, we heard all of that.
Damn, this is how we're gonna end No BS.
Yeah, I was on my closing remarks. My gosh, Isaiah, way to ruin it.
It's BS.
I was getting, putting some stuff with, 6 for 6 and, Like you said, there's no programs until the new year. 6 for 6 is going to plan on making return January 6th. It seems like I'm keeping the 6 motto going. So, we'll go back into the full swing of that. Maybe I may write a game of the week and take the number 1 slot and give you guys a sports article every now and then with the game of the week, depending on how I select it, give you some facts about the event and give you, a chance to check out the MI6, website to, explore that. So to use that to explore potential in 2022. I'll see how that goes with my schedule, but that will be it for the 6 for 6 at that point and no BS for this year in 2021. See you all in the new year, but see you in the holiday specials that we have coming up. Take care for now, everyone. Enjoy your holidays and see you on those specials. So long for now. Take care. And that will be it here for season 3 of No BS episode 25. That is a conclude for tonight's show, folks. So long for now. Bye-bye.
Yeah. 3-6, mafia.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hey, yeah. Whoa.
Say what?
Whoa.
3-6 Mafia. It's going down. Y'all know what time it is.